So let's dedicate this presentation to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padani Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Shurata Pangur Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvasvapadam Bojo Radha Matanamo Divyat Vrindaranyo Kalpadrumadaha Srimat Ratnagado Simhasanasto Sriman Radha Sri Govinda Devo Prashtalibihi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasarasarambi Vamsivatas Karshan Venur Saner Gopir Gopinata Shriyastunah Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripri Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine, Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. धर्म प्रोजितः कैतवः अत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतम् वीर्यम् अष्टमात्रमस्तु शिवदम् तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्. This Bhagavata Purana is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion. For the welfare of all such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Pare Ishvaraha Sadhyo Hridi Avarudyate Atra Kritibihi Sushushristakshanat. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Nigamakalpatarorgalitam phalam sukam katamritadra samritam Bhagavatam rasamalaya muhuraho rasika bhuvibhagakaha. Relish this Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, Although its sectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls, then Nastaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatam Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the Supreme Godhead is praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. त्वयि मे आनन्दविषया मतिर्मधुपति आसकृत् रतिम् उद्वहता तदा गङ्गे भौग्यम् उदन्वतिः. O Lord of sweetness, as the Ganga forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapasthaya Putrim Srimati Bhakti-Vignamina Shinarasimha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayatim Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram Om Tat Sat. So Hare Krishna everyone. So welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam session. So we are in chapter 1 of Canto 2 and hopefully we can complete this chapter. So let's see. The topic is the chapter is entitled The First Step in God Realization. And we'll just recap quickly what we have covered in this chapter. So here, in this chapter in Canto 2, it picks up where it ended in Canto 1. So in Canto 1, we heard all about how Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die in 7 days and how he had the wonderful good fortune to have Srila Sukadev Goswami to come in front of him during this time when he was going to fast till death by the river Ganga. So, and at that time, he puts questions to Sukadev Goswami. He asks him, please tell me what I should chant, what I should hear, what I should chant, what I should remember, and what I should worship, and what I should do, and what I should not do. Right? Please tell me what is my duty in all of these ways for someone who is about to die. So then Parikshit Maharaj, when he puts this question, Sukadev Goswami becomes very happy, elated, and then he congratulates Parikshit Maharaj for asking such a glorious question. Because his question is Loka Hitam. It benefits the entire world because everyone in this world is somebody in the same category, about to die. So it's just a matter of how many years they have, everybody in this world dies, right? It's called Mritya Loka. So what this is our prime most duty in this world. And he begins to answer these questions. He tells what one should not do, right? So in summary, basically he's telling Parikshit Maharaj and everyone that we should not become Grihamedi. Grihamedi means we spend our time being envious of other people's achievements and spending our daytime working very, very hard to have material achievements and spending the night time satisfying our senses or sleeping. So one should not be like that, a Grihamedi, because a Grihamedi will not have time to hear about spiritual matters. He will not have time to take up spiritual life. So that is not what one should do. If one wants to become fearless, right? Ichchata abhayam. If one desires to become fearless, especially at the time of death, right? Then what are the things we should do? So the answer is Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer, right? We should relish Srimad Bhagavatam. We should hear Srimad Bhagavatam because, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost Purana and it has the power to attract even liberated souls. So this is the wonderful level of Srimad Bhagavatam because it's non-different than Krishna himself. Krishna is called all attractive, right? So therefore Srimad Bhagavatam also is all attractive. They are non-different. And what is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam? By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and by relishing Srimad Bhagavatam, we will come to the platform of Harir Namanukirtanam, to always chant the names of Lord Hari. So this is our path, right? We are Hare Krishnas, we chant Hare Krishna, right? So to help us chant Hare Krishna, to come to the perfection of chanting Hare Krishna, we must first hear. We must hear and hear and hear until our hearts become full. So then when we chant, we will, we will chant the Suddha Nam. So it's a gradual process. It takes step by step, right? So Therefore, though it's a gradual process, right? Sukadev Goswami tells, we should not waste a moment of our time. From young, as soon as we come to hear this information, we should take up spiritual life as soon as we can. In fact, later, Prahlad Maharaj in Canto 7, he will give the advice that one should take up spiritual life right from the age of 5, because human life is so precious. But still, even if we are late beginners, no harm, right? Even a little bit of advancement, even a little bit, that is completely no loss. In fact, we are completely saved, even if we take it up at a later point also. So, lifetime of preparation, death is the examination. And Padam Tat Paramam Vishnum, it is the perfection of all meditation. So this chanting of Hare Krishna, this hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, or any other spiritual process culminates with the perfection that we always remember the lotus feet of Lord, right? So Padam Tat Paramam Vishnu, always. So when we come to that platform, then it's the perfection of our understanding. So Sukadev Goswami, he begins by giving step-by-step God realization. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, it's entirely dedicated to that. Because there are different categories of people in this world. Not everybody can take up straight away to hearing and remembering and chanting the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are different people. There are people who are, for example, there are people who are full with material desires. They have all kinds of material desires. They want to have benefits. They want to gain name, fame, position, power, beauty, followers. So then, for these people, the path of uh, pravrti marga. Marga means path. Pravrti means the path of sense gratification is prescribed for them. So this sense gratification will slowly, after many, many lifetimes, it will bring them to the level where they realize that all these desires are pointless. But it's a very slow process. And what is this process? This is the process of karma kanda. They take up to the various things which are prescribed in the Vedas. 75% of the Vedic knowledge is dedicated towards this karma kanda, to satisfying people's sense gratification. But at least they do it legally. They want to satisfy their sense gratification. Oh, yeah, people, they want to have sense gratification, at least legally. Sacrifice is recommended, so like, different levels of sacrifice. But it's a very, very, very slow process. It's there to satisfy people's desire. But when people come to the realization that, all these materialistic things is only going to result in birth and death, repetitive birth and death. Even if I were to go up to the planet of Indra and enjoy heavenly splendors, still I have to come back again into this material world. When they come to that realization, when they realize that, I don't want to take birth again, because birth in this, anywhere in this material creation, in birth, it will mean that there is a beginning and there is an ending. There is birth and there is janma and there is mrityur. And in between, there is disease, vyadi, and there is old age, jara. And there are all kinds of various types of difficulties and sufferings and anxieties one has to go through in one's life. So if one doesn't want to go through them, if one wants to be fearless, if one wants to break out of the cycle of birth and death, then what to do? Then then the other option is given for these people. The option of Nivritti Marga. Nivritti Marga means the path of renunciation. Earlier I mentioned Pravritti Marga, the path of sense gratification. So now this is the Nivritti, to renounce things. Now, in the path of renunciation, still there are two types of people, right? There are people who are one category of people is they want to do it on their own. They don't like the idea that there is God. They don't like the idea that there is someone superior to us, right? They can't accept this. So in this situation, how to help these people? So Krishna is wanting to help everybody. So he wants to give a option for everybody. So just a moment. Right. So therefore, anyway, so these are different categories. So, but before I go into that, he wants to give these categories step by step. Mm. So for people who are envious of the Lord, or people who don't have higher knowledge about the personality of Krishna or the personality of God and his leelas, so for people who cannot bow down to authority, so for them, Krishna gives the path of Jnana Marga. Jnana Marga means to realize the self mechanically, step by step. So we've heard about that in Bhagavad Gita, but again we are going through a little bit here. So we heard in our previous session how there are atheistic people in this world. Atheistic people, they don't accept God completely. So for these people, you can't help them with the understanding of God. So for them, this life is one and all, and at the end of life, everything is finished. So how to help these people? They cannot accept God, and they think this life is everything. So for these people, right, at least they can appreciate power, right? So atheistic, right? They can appreciate power, they can appreciate majesty, they can appreciate large things. So if you tell them about the universe, if you say the universe is great, then they will say, yeah, okay, I accept the universe is great. But they don't accept universe is God. So for these people, it's a little harder. They have to come to the point where they at least accept that there is a higher power, a higher understanding. So Srimad Bhagavatam begins at this point where people are not atheistic, people are theists, they accept that there is a higher personality. For those who are atheistic, there are other scriptures or there are other types of methods, the meditation techniques or whatever other types of techniques. So we have pantheism. Pantheistic people are those who accept that God is universe. They accept that there is divinity, but they cannot accept that this divinity has a form, has a personality, and they cannot understand anything further. They are willing to accept that the universe is divine, the power is divine, energy is divine, light is divine, in this way. So that's called pantheistic. But a higher level of pantheistic, gradually a higher level of pantheism is called panentheism. So here the understanding is, yes, universe is divine, but God is separate from the universe. So universe is part of God, but it is not the whole, the universe by itself is not God, it is part of God. So they are willing to acknowledge that God is greater than the universe. Universe is part of God, but God himself is greater than the universe. So they're willing to acknowledge this. And like this, gradually, step by step, and then finally they will come to the point where God is separate from the universe. He is simultaneously separate, at the same time, he is also within the universe. So this is called theism, where they accept God's personality as a separate being, right? And the universe is simply something which is emanating from the Lord. So it's a gradual realization. And Sukadev Goswami is testing Parikshit Maharaj by going through step by step in this way. So he recommends the process of, he begins Canto 2, the first step of self-realization, by first of all establishing this panentheism. Before he goes to theism, he talks about panentheism first. And here he establishes the supreme Virat Rupa, Vairaja Purusha Bhagavan. Vairaja means the gigantic universal form of the Lord, Purusha Bhagavan. So he establishes the universe as being a representative of the Supreme Lord. So he is telling one to meditate in that way. And then he talks about within this universe, there are 7 layers within Saptavarna Anda Kosham. So this universe is like an egg. Anda means like an egg. Kosham Kosha means covered with 7 layers. Sapta means 7. So it's covered by 7 layers of material nature. So material elements like earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. So like that, there are different layers which covers this earth, this universe. This is just one universe. So, and then he begins to talk about how this concept of the Lord within this universe as the universal form is to be meditated upon for those who are serious to attain liberation. So if someone wants to attain liberation by remembering the Lord as the universe, then he has to meditate upon the Lord in this following ways, right? So that we will continue in today's discussion, right? How to meditate upon the Lord. So Sukadev Goswami, he continues his conversation with Parikshit Maharaj. He says, persons who have realized it, realized what? Realized the Virat Rupa, the universal form of the Lord. This is what they will say. Persons who have realized the universal Virat Rupa form of the Lord say that, number one, Patalam etasya hi padamulam. They say that the lotus feet of the Lord begins with Patala Loka. Because now Sukadev Goswami is showing Parikshit Maharaj, because Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadev Goswami, how can one meditate upon the supreme form of the Lord in the universal form? So Sukadev Goswami recommends we begin by meditating from the lotus feet. So he is indicating subtly that the Lord is a personality, right? So we begin by the lotus feet. So he's connecting the universal elements of the Lord, which is very gross, and connecting that universal elements to the form of the Lord. So you can see how he is trying to transition the gross materialist who cannot understand the concept of the personal form of the Lord to gradually come to accept the personal form of the Lord. So he's saying this universe is divided into 14 planetary systems. Usually we will say 3 planetary systems, three meaning the 3 upper planetary systems, the middle one, the middle planetary system, and the lower planetary system. So this is makes up the 3 levels. Bhu, Bhuvar, Swarga, right? So Swarga represents the entire upper planetary systems from Brahma Loka all the way down to Bhuvar Loka. So before Bhuvarloka. So then there's Bur. Bur means it's intermediate planetary system, right? And then there's Bhuloka. Bhuloka is Earth and the lower planetary systems below. So, but basically we have 7 upper planetary system, 7 lower planetary system, and Earth in between. Right? So this detail we'll hear about it in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? But for now, we can understand the lower planetary systems and the upper planetary systems in a general way. So Sukadev Goswami begins his meditation. He recommends we should start from the bottom. The bottom is the lotus feet. What is the lowest planetary system? It is called Patala Loka. Patala Loka. And he says this Patala Loka, Patalam etasya hi pada moolam. Moolam means the root and pada means the feet. So the root of the feet of the Supreme Virat Rupa begins with Patala Loka. So Patala Loka is like the feet of the Lord. So here I'm putting the feet of the Lord, right? Just to show. So this is the lotus feet of the Lord from the temple in Bellur, Karnataka. So the name of the Lord of this lotus feet is called Chenna Keshava. Chenna Keshava means in Karnataka, Chenna means very handsome. So very handsome Lord. And his lotus feet is engraved over there in this temple. Anyway, I'm just putting that just to show that this represents Patala Loka. And then the meditation from Patala Loka moves to the upper. So the lotus feet is Patala, and then the heels and the toes are represented by the Rasatala planets. So if the feet is like when we meditate upon the deity form of the Lord also. In the devotional practice, we always meditate starting from the lotus feet. So we look at the lotus feet first, and then we move our glance upwards until the lotus face. So that's the devotional principle behind it. So here you can see how Sukadev Goswami is getting the materialists to get acclimated to the devotional atmosphere. Even though their focus on meditation is not the form of the Lord, it is the universe itself. But little by little, they are getting accustomed to the idea of a person. Because when you say feet, when you say toes, when you say heels, it gives the idea of a person, right? So anyway, that's Rasatala planets. The ankles are the Mahatala planets. So higher than the Rasatala and the Patala is the next dimension, which is the Rasatala. So each of these Patala, Rasatala, all these are dimensions, dimensional existence, one after another, higher and higher and higher, right? So there are many, many planets within, very many lokas within this dimensional existence. So then the ankles are Mahatala. His shanks are the calves. Above the ankle is the calf. So this is the represented by the Tala planets. And then in the next verse, Sukadev Goswami continues, the knees are the Sutala planetary system. So as you can see, Sutala is here in between. So Sutala is the knee. And then the two thighs are the Vitala and Atala planetary system. So probably there's a divergence to the dimensional systems. It's difficult to imagine. Probably there's a two different dimension, layer by layer, and then suddenly two different dimensions. So these are the Vitala and Atala planetary systems. And the hips, so above the thigh is the hip. So that is the Mahitala planetary system. And these are all considered the lower planetary systems. So who lives there? Well, it's described that the lower planetary systems are sometimes uh, even more opulent than the higher planetary systems. So they are so opulent, but the consciousness of the people in these lower planetary systems are very, very, very materialistic. So that's why they are more opulent. They are more opulent to the level where it's completely grossly opulent compared to the higher planetary systems where the devas reside. There is a mixture of a little bit of realization, not so gross, but at the same time opulent. So therefore, it's comparatively less opulent compared to the lower planetary systems. So and a lot of demonic mentality, people of demonic mentality, they live there. And it's also described that the lower planetary systems, there is no sun, there is no moon. It's subterranean, it's underground. So it's beneath the Bhuloka. You can see here the Bhumandala. This is where Earth is situated. Earth is one of the planets which is floating along this dimension called Bhumandala. Mandala means circle, right? So within this area, there is Earth. And there are other places also, like Kailash and a few other places are within this area, right? But below also we have all this Atala Loka, Vitala Loka, Sutala Loka, where you can find Nagas. Nagas live there, and different species of creatures, right? Human beings also, but they are more powerful. So that is the lower planetary systems. Then Sukadev Goswami continues further. He has come up to the hip, and then in the hip area, right, a little higher, so there is the outer space. So what is outer space? In between all these planetary systems, like if you see in between these dimensions, there is space, right? And he is taking the entirety of space, and he says, Nabashtalam Nabi Saraha. Outer space is the depression of his navel. So if you can imagine it that way, the entire, in our body, the navel, that's a lot of shadow. It's not very, because the navel, there's a depression and it's a shadowed area. So it's like our outer space. And then he continues the meditation of the Virat Rupa in this way. The chest is the luminary planetary systems. So the chest area is the sun and the moon, the luminary planetary systems, right? His neck is the Mahar planets. So Mahar Loka, where the sages live. His mouth is the Jana planets, Janar Loka. His forehead is the Tapa planetary systems. The higher level sages live here. And highest amongst is the Satyam to Sirshani Sahasra Sirsha. Now we know the Virat Rupa has many heads. So thousands of heads. So Sahasra means thousands. Sirshna means head. So in the thousands of heads of the Virat Rupa, what is situated over there? Situated over there is Satya Loka. Satya Loka is also known as Brahma Loka. So that is where Brahma Loka is situated. So you can see these are the, I can show you this picture over here. We saw the Bhu Mandala, and previously we saw the lower planetary systems beneath the Bhu Mandala. And above Bhumandala, between Bhumandala and Swargaloka, you have the luminary planets, you have the sun, you have the moon. So these are all floating about within this range. And they are all lokas by themselves also. There are people living in those areas. And then above that is Swarga. So Swarga is where Indra lives, the king of heaven. So within this region, from above Bhuloka all the way to Swargaloka is what is called heaven. So there are different levels and layers of heaven. Then above that is Maharloka. Those people who are not so interested in materialistic enjoyment. In Maharloka, it is described that people there have powers. Everybody has all kinds. People are flying everywhere. Everyone has yogic mystic powers like this. Above Maharloka is the Jana Loka. So in Jana Loka, people are a bit more concentrated in self-realization. They are not interested so much in exploiting their powers. They are more into self-realization processes like meditation. And Tapaloka is sages who are at a higher level, higher realization. They are here. They are performing severe austerity. So Tapa means austerity, and Loka means the planet of Tapa or the planet of austerity. And this austerity is aimed and focused not towards material enjoyment, but towards attaining self-realization so that they can attain the Lord. So then highest amongst that is Brahma Loka. So this is where Lord Brahma sits. Not only Lord Brahma, Shirodakashayi Vishnu in his deity form is also there. In his localized form is also there. In Shwetadeep. Shwetadeep is within this region of Brahma Loka. And Rudra Loka is also there within this material universe. These are within the material universe. So then Sukadeva Goswami continues. His arms are the demigods headed by Indra. So then he gives further personality. So his arms, when in a human being, the arm is considered the limb which protects the body. The arm is also the limb which performs activities, which is able to carry out activities to satisfy the plan of the body. So if body is headed by the head, the head is the head of the body, and the head plans activities, what it wants, what we want to do, but the execution is done by the arms. So arm is considered like the Kshatriya or the administration. So who is the administration of the entire universe? It is administered by the Devatas. So the Devatas look after the universe in the administrative role. So therefore, his arms are the demigods headed by Indra. The 10 directional sides are his ears. So, even the 10 directions, what are the 10 directions? North, south, east, west, and northeast, northwest, all the in-between locations, as well as top and bottom. So these make up the 10 directions. And each of these 10 directions are headed by personalities, the devatas. They are called Lokapalas. Loka means direction, Palas means the heads or the leaders, the controllers of those directions. Like, for example, Yama is I think the Lokapala for North. So like that, we have Kuvera, another Lokapal. I'm not sure which direction is Kuvera's, but like that, there are different personalities, and it is all likened to his ears, because why ears? Because ears can help us to understand direction. Like, for example, when we close our eyes, when there is a sound, by hearing carefully, we can understand which direction the sound comes from. Why is that? Because we have two ears. It's called, there's a technical term for it, because we have two ears. When we have two ears, we can identify the direction of the sound. If we close away one ear, you will find that we cannot identify which direction the sound comes from. So, for example, if we shut away one ear, if we close away one ear, and if sound is coming, we have to turn our head. If we don't turn our head, and we will not be able to pinpoint which direction the sound comes from. So two ears allows us to pinpoint the direction. Imagine if we have 10 years, we should be able to very carefully pinpoint direction, right? So in engineering, this is called sound spectrometer. So we use multiple speakers in order to identify the direction of noise, where the noise is coming from. So in that sense, it's linked to ears. So that's why direction is linked to ears of the Lord. So a lot of deep meaning behind all of this. One can further analyze and go deeply into all this. But we want to focus more on the devotional aspect and the spiritual aspect. So, right. So then the third one, and physical sound is his sense of hearing. Okay, this is quite obvious. His nostrils are the two Ashwini Kumaras. Ashwini Kumaras are the twin demigods who are, they have something to do with medicine and many other things. Then the material fragrance is his sense of smell. So whatever fragrance we can inhale, we can understand that it is the sense of smell of the Supreme Lord. Because the Supreme Lord has a sense of smell, there is fragrance in this universe. So this is all linked to the personality of this Supreme Virat Rupa. His mouth is like the blazing fire. So basically, Prabhupada is trying to explain, he gives his purport. Since the demigods are included in the gigantic form of the Lord, not only the demigods, everything within the material creation is included in the gigantic form of the Lord. The Virat Rupa includes everything. But here it is being sectionized level by level, and each section is allocated to a body part of the Lord, just so that it is connected to the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada is saying, since the demigods are included in the gigantic conception of the Virat Rupa, worship of the Lord, whether in his gigantic material conception or in his eternal transcendental form as Krishna, also appeases the demigods and all other parts of the parcels. So Prabhupada is saying, when we worship the root, right? Because the Virat Rupa is simply an imaginary expansion of the Supreme Lord, Lord Narayana, right? So when we worship Narayana, we automatically already worship the Virat Rupa, and we automatically already worship all the demigods, because the demigods are all part of the Virat Rupa only. So the idea is like, when you water the root of a tree, when the root of the tree is watered, you don't have to water the leaves separately. Each and every leaf you don't have to water separately. You simply have to water the root. So automatically the entire branches, the leaves, the entire tree, in every part of the tree is nourished, simply because we water the root. So therefore, in the same idea, simply by worshipping Krishna, by worshipping Narayana, every obligations are already automatically satisfied. We don't have to be worried. Oh, we didn't do this yagya. Oh, we didn't do this for our ancestors. Oh, we didn't do that worship. Oh, we didn't do this fire sacrifice. No, we don't have to worry. Simply by worshipping the Lord, simply by being a devotee of the Lord, one satisfies every other requirement needed. So that is the understanding. The same message is also given in Bhagavad Gita, right? So then Sukadev Goswami continues with his meditation. He's telling Parikshit Maharaj how one should meditate continuously in this way, level by level, layer by layer. The sphere of outer space constitutes his eye sockets. So we know that earlier we talked about outer space itself, the emptiness of outer space itself. It represents the navel of the Lord, right? The depression of the navel of the Lord, the darkness. The darkness of outer space represents the darkness within the navel of the Lord. Okay, but what holds outer space? Outer space is held within the shell of the material universe, right? Remember earlier I said material universe is anda. Anda means it's like an egg. So egg is covered by the shell. So this shell which holds the outer space is like the constitutes his eye sockets. So within, we all have eye sockets. Within the socket of our eye, we have the eyeball, right? So the emptiness which the shell which holds the eye is like the socket. So that is how outer space is also described, the sphere of outer space. And the eyeball is the sun as the power of seeing. So this is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna describes, right? I am the sun. My in when Krishna shows the Virat Rupa form of the Lord in chapter 11, Arjuna sees, how the right eye is the sun, the left eye is the moon, like that. So all luminaries come within the eyes, like this. His eyelids are both the day and night. Why eyelids? Because when we close our eyes, when our eyelids close, everything becomes dark. We cannot see. When our eyelids open, it becomes bright. So what constitutes day and night? Day is described as brightness. Night is described as darkness, right? So the eyelids, they represent the beginning and the closing of the day and the night. So eyelids of the Lord. So in the movements of his eyebrows, Brahma and similar supreme personalities reside. So like Brahma, Rudra, right? So they resides within the eyebrows. Why eyebrows? Movement of the eyebrows. They are very expressive. The movement of the eyebrows, it shows the expression. It helps to bring about expression to convey message. So and this is considered a very, like if somebody has beautiful eyebrows, that person is considered to be very beautiful, right? Eyes and eyebrows together. So anyway, Brahma sits there. So it is also the place where the chakra is situated in a human, right? We have the chakra between the eyebrows. That's where we put our tilak. That's where we put our bindi and all this. So it's a very sacred place, the topmost place within. So therefore Brahma sits there. His palate is the upper part of his mouth, right? His palate is the director of water. Now, the palate is very important in our mouth because it helps us to taste food. That's where the tongue is situated, right? And our saliva is there, and the palate helps us to taste food. So therefore, Varuna, the Lord of water, is represented here. So his palate is the director of water, Varuna. And the juice or essence of everything is his tongue. So in this way, impersonalists or yogis, or even those people who are, they worship the universe. So in this way, they can go to the next level. They can progress to the next level simply from gross material remembrance of the universe to start connecting the universe to the supreme form of the Lord, the body of the Lord. So when they do this, when they meditate in this way to connect different parts of the universe to the body of the Lord, in this way they make a connection, they actually progress to the next level. Because ultimately, without coming to the personal form of the Lord, they cannot really get liberation. They have to again come back to earth and again continue their process from where they took. It has to be connected to the supreme form of the Lord. So that's why these meditation stages are gradually designed in such a way, it gradually tricks the person to little by little accept the personal form of the Lord. So, so if somebody is a diehard impersonalist, they just can't accept the personal feature of the Lord and they like the universe concept, then we can recommend to them this kind of meditation. So in previously, this science was there. It's just now uh, it's not so obvious, but the science is still there. So Prabhupada describes common sense. This is a very interesting statement. Common sense is always imperfect. So we rely a lot in common sense, but Prabhupada is saying here, common sense is always imperfect. Why? Because in reference to what we are saying here, like the outer space is his eye sockets, the eyeball is like the sun. Sometimes our common sense finds it difficult to connect. Why the palate is connected to Varuna, the juice or the essence. But however, Prabhupada says, don't be too attached to common sense alone, because common sense is imperfect. Why is it imperfect? Because our common sense depends upon our understanding. And our understanding is based upon our small intelligence. Our small intelligence is based on our small brain. So we have a very limited intelligence and a limited brain. Somebody from a higher planetary system, like the Devatas, they may have a higher intelligence. They may have a higher, bigger, more finer intelligence. So their common sense will be greater than our common sense. So that's one thing. Another reason is because our intelligence is limited, right? Our experience is also limited. We don't experience everything in our lives. We can only experience some things within the scope of our destiny. So our experience is also limited because we don't know what's happening in the heavenly planets because we've never been there, right? Sometimes we've never been to the North Pole, for example. So we don't know how it is in the North Pole based on our experience alone. So our experience is also limited, and our common sense draws upon our intelligence and our experience. So when these two are limited, then therefore our common sense is also imperfect, isn't it? Example, when we see smoke, then we automatically think fire. But that's based on our experience and our common sense. But there are exceptions. It is possible to get smoke without fire. By mixing certain chemicals with water, you can get smoke directly without even fire. So, but then if we didn't know this, if our intelligence didn't know this, then we wouldn't know. So you see, exceptions defeat common sense. There are always exceptions in this world, and it will defeat common sense. So Prabhupada says common sense is always imperfect, whereas the description in the Shastra is always perfect because it is given by the all-perfect Lord, right? And complete. So if there is any incongruity, sometimes when we read scripture, we find that, oh, this doesn't make sense. So in that way, we come to an incongruity. So if we come across like this, what should we do? It is always due to our imperfection and not the Shastra. So someone with faith will always say, I don't understand properly. No, the Shastra is perfect. My intelligence is not good enough that I can't understand this point in the Shastra well enough. So why that is so? So it's not just intelligence alone, it is also mercy. Now Shastra is very special. We cannot approach Shastra just like a materialistic textbook. It's not just intelligence alone, it has to come with mercy also. So when mercy is there, when we follow the process properly, Krishna from within the heart will reveal the purports of the Shastras. So that's why it's always important to hear Shastra from the parampara. We cannot approach Shastra independently. We have to hear it from the parampara where the mercy is flowing, because the parampara are perfected living beings, great personalities who have great mercy within them, who have received the mercy of the Lord directly. So when we hear from them coming down through paramparic disciplic succession, then our understanding becomes perfect also, right? According to our purity. So if there's any incongruity, it is due to our imperfection and not the Shastras. That is the method of approaching Vedic wisdom. So important point given by Prabhupada here. So then Sukadev Goswami continues in his meditation. He says, the Vedic hymns are the cerebral passage of the Lord. Cerebral means within the brain. So it's like the brain of the Lord, the Vedas. So that's why the Vedas are the ultimate intelligence. Anything we want to find out about this material universe or about ourselves, about the Lord, we have to refer to the Vedic scriptures. We cannot manufacture our own. They are all perfect. We have to understand them. His jaws of teeth are Yama, god of death. So the jaws and the teeth are instrumental in crushing. So therefore, we crush our food, right? And we swallow. So it's like the god of death who punishes the sinners. The art of affection is his set of teeth. So the set of teeth, if somebody has very beautiful teeth, right? They have a very beautiful smile. So they can express their affection very nicely with their smile. There are some people with extremely photogenic smiles, which makes them very very attractive. Like for example, in movies, we have actors or actresses who are very famous for their smile. Like in Western movies, we have this Harrison Ford, who has a very charismatic smile, or Tom Cruise, like that. In Bollywood, we have Madhuri Dixit, who has a very beautiful smile. So that's why every dance or everything, she's famous for that. So like that, so therefore the art of affection is a set of teeth. So if one has perfect teeth and perfect smile, then it's very, very attractive. The most alluring illusory material energy is his smile. So together with the teeth and the smile. This great ocean so Krishna's smile is very mysterious. And there are several times when Krishna smiles. It is captured in the scriptures. In Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna, in the chapter 2, when Arjuna is saying, I'm confused, I'm surrendering unto you. Please accept me as your disciple. So Krishna, first of all, he smiles. It's a very interesting smile. It's a little sarcastic. At the same time, it is also very bewitching, very alluring. So this Krishna smile is, there are some deities also in India. I've been to some of these temples. The smile is really, really attractive. These are self-manifested deities. I had the opportunity to go to Jagannath Puri, and in Jagannath Puri there is the deity of Alarnath. If you ever go to Jagannath Puri and see the deity of Alarnath, you will be very, very bewitched by his smile. Very, very sweet. And there is also another deity in Sakshi Gopal. If you see Sakshi Gopal, his smile is also very, very alluring. So like that, different deities, they have a very alluring smile. It's able to capture the mind very nicely. Then this great ocean of material creation is but the casting of his glance over us. So the great ocean of material creation, this samsara, this ocean of samsara, ocean of cycle of birth of death, that is the glance of the Lord. So this has been described in Bhagavad Gita. The Lord glancing upon material energy, pradhan, material energy in its dormant state is called pradhan. So when the Lord wants to create the material creation, he glances upon this material energy pradhan, and by that glance, the pradhan becomes agitated. When it becomes agitated, it's called mahatattva. It starts to differentiate from neutrality. It starts to differentiate into different things. So the glance of the Lord, the Lord doesn't directly associate with material energy. The material energy and the Lord is always separate. The Lord only associates with spiritual energy. That's why he's called Divyam. So Vishnu, he doesn't directly deal with material energy. So, but what he does is he glances at material energy. And when he glances at material energy, that glance, that primordial glance is called Shiva. So that glance of the Lord is the form of Shiva, and that glance associates directly with material energy. So therefore, Shiva and Parvati, or Shiva and Shakti. So material energy is directly associated with Shiva. Whereas Lord Vishnu, he never associates directly with material energy. He only associates with spiritual energy. So anyway, this is a deep topic, but we have described it before. But anyway, here I'm just mentioning it here because Sukadev Goswami is describing about the glance of the Supreme Lord. So we can connect the glance of the Supreme Lord to the cycle of samsara, because this material nature is that only, right? Gives us birth and death. So the meditation continues. You can see here how the meditation is becoming more and more personal. You know, from the feet, from the knees, and from the hips to the eye sockets, and now it's becoming the teeth, and now you can see lips and other things as well. Modesty is the upper portion of his lips. Hankering is his chin. Dharma is the breast of the Lord. So Dharma is the breast of the chest of the Lord. That's where Dharma resides, close to his heart, right? Hankering is the chin. So I cannot, I won't pretend to be able to explain the deeper meanings behind all this, right? So there are many aspects which we can go deep into when we meditate upon this. This will come with realization, or probably when we realize Supreme Lord. But for the moment, we can accept the purports given by the acharyas. So not much is described about these things. Maybe they are meant for a higher level of understanding. But we can understand modesty. Why is modesty the upper portion of his lips? I don't know. I can only say that. Why is hankering connected to his chin? I don't know. Right? Maybe we can meditate upon this and some inclination of an answer might come to us. Right? But the purports don't describe this. Anyway, to move on, Dharma is the breast of the Lord. So we can speculate a little, maybe, right? But we shouldn't bring it further than that. But the idea is to meditate upon this. Meditate upon, but this is not for devotees. It's not meant for devotees meditation. This is meant for those people who are who cannot accept the personal form of the Lord. So slowly, by looking at, but they can appreciate modesty. People can appreciate modesty. People can appreciate hankering. People can appreciate dharma. So by connecting this to a personal form of the Lord, it is slowly helping them to come towards to the realization that the Lord is a person, step by step. Brahmaji, who generates all living beings in the material world, is his genitals. And Mitra Varunas are his two testicles. So therefore you can see how the personality of the Lord is being stressed. Like, when a child is born, we want to first know what gender is the child. So therefore they will look, right? And they will see based on the genitals, and that they will see, okay, this is the gender of the child. So that clearly indicates personality. You cannot be impersonal. So to this detail, you can see how to this detail of each and every body part of the Lord is described simply with the idea to create into the impersonalist that the Supreme is a person, not an impersonalist. So Prabhupada comments here, this means that as a person, he is complete with all bodily organs, but they are of different types. They are not the same as ours. They are of different types with different potencies. In fact, they are called divyam, transcendental. So the Lord is complete in all of these, right? But they are transcendental. In fact, there is a nice verse. Angyani yasya shakalindriya vriti manti pasyanti panti kalayanti kapasyanti kpanti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujvala vigrahasya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So this is Brahma Samhita. It says each and every part of the body of the Lord, Angyani yasya shakalain indriya. So each of his senses, each of his body parts, his angas, they all can do uh, they can do everything that other parts of the body can do. Like for example, the Lord with his eyes, he can eat food with his eyes. He can hear with his nose. He can do everything. He can impregnate simply with his eyes alone. He doesn't, yeah. So therefore, every part of his body is complete. And with every part of his body, he can do the function of every other part. So therefore, it is transcendental. So, right? So in this way, we can understand. So anyway, Dharma is the breast of the Lord and Adharma is his back. So even Adharma comes from the Lord only, but it comes from the back of the Lord. Just like darkness. Darkness also comes from the Lord, which is from the navel, right? So therefore, in this way, we can understand there is nothing in this world or in creation which does not come from the Lord, period. This is to firmly establish to the person that everything, the Lord is, when the Lord says, I am the resting place of everything, right? Aham sarvashva prabhavo, I am the Lord of everything. So this is what it means by everything, right? Even darkness, even adharma, everything comes from the Lord. He is the generator of everything. So the ocean is his waist, and the hills and mountains are the stacks of his bones. So this is how different parts of the body of the Virat Rupa is associated with different elements of the material creation. So Prabhupada says the Virat Rupa as exhibited by Lord Krishna to Arjuna is a challenge to the unbelievers. Now, why is that? So why is this Virat Rupa created? Right? It's there to trick the Mayavadis. It's there to trick the materialists, the gross materialists, especially the gross materialists. Because, if you go to the gross materialists, the scientists, for example, they are very much into matter. They don't accept God. They don't accept theism, right? But they want to study. They want to research. So by studying material things, they develop a kind of respect and awe and reverence towards material nature. They begin to, and the more they study material nature, the more they become fascinated by material nature. And this fascination of material nature will help them. Why? Because by the Lord's mercy. The Lord, by his mercy, he has connected this material nature to the Virat Rupa. So simply by being fascinated by the material nature, they are indirectly connected to the Virat Rupa. Their fascination is indirectly to the form of the Lord. So this will create agyata sukruti for them. This will create blessings for them. So by these blessings, they will elevate themselves slowly, life after life, to a higher level of consciousness where they can come to accept that, God can be a person. So you might ask, really, there are some people who are this stubborn? Are there really that people this stubborn that they cannot accept? Well, there are. So sometimes they have to go through different lifetimes of purification, slowly to come to the level, because they cannot offend. They should not offend. If they offend the Lord in any way, then they cannot make advancement. They will only go down. So, but to offset the offenses, Krishna creates these different cheating ways to help to trick them. So they can be tricked into fortune. They can be tricked into blessings. So you can see to the extent of the mercy of the Lord, just to help those people who are so averse towards Him. So this is why the Lord is called all merciful, costless mercy. So then the meditation continues, verse 33, right? The rivers are the veins of the gigantic body, the trees are the hairs of his body, and the omnipotent air is his breath. The passing ages are his movements. The activities are the reactions of the three modes of material nature. So therefore, you can see some poetic way in which the Virat Rupa is described. So this is the beginning of all poetry. All poetry comes from Vedic scriptures only, right? Sometimes, when we if you read some love poems, when someone wants to write a love poem to win the heart of he of a lady or something, they will say, oh, your lips are red like the roses, and your skin is white like snow. Like, I'm remembering Snow White. So like that, they give this kind of similes, comparisons. So here the Lord is being compared with all his majesty to the greatest things one can imagine within this material creation. So like the trees are like the hair in his body, uh, like the passing of ages are his movements. So this is to indicate how simply by moving his hands, moving his arms, entire yugas are being covered by these movements. So how big and how great this Virat Rupa is, that by his movements ages are passing. His activities are the reactions of the three modes of material nature. So because this is called the material form, this Virat Rupa is the material form, right? So therefore his activities represent the three modes of material nature. But the Lord can never be material. But nevertheless, Virat Rupa is a material conception of the Lord. So therefore, the Acharyas explain that this Virat Rupa is not real. It's illusory. It's not real. There is no Virat Rupa which is existing in the spiritual world. If you go to the spiritual world, there is no Virat Rupa there. So it is a material representation just for this material world, just for the sake of giving blessings for the materialist, for the gross materialist who cannot accept his spiritual form. So it is a material representation. So Prabhupada says, so even by studying the rivers, the trees, the air, and passing ages, one can conceive of the personality of Godhead without being misled by the formless conception of the Lord. So in this way, if simply by studying the trees and by studying nature, by studying science, by studying material creation, by studying physics, by studying chemistry, by studying the nature of the world, right? They are actually worshipping the Lord indirectly, right? If they develop a sense of awe and majesty, if they can appreciate the greatness of this material creation, that is already worship of the Lord. Very, 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 very indirect. That's the beginning of the worship of the Lord, right? At least they can appreciate the greatness of this creation. So in this way, they appreciate the Lord. So that is how the Lord tricks them with his costless mercy. I hope this point I'm trying to pass comes across, right? About this, the way in which the Lord is helping the materialistic people. So anyway, so the meditation continues. Sukadev Goswami continues. The clouds which carry water are the hairs on his head. The termination. So why clouds are compared to the hair? No, so I have a picture of the clouds here. So you can see how clouds they look like curly hair, isn't it? You can imagine they are like curly hair. So anyway, this is my imagination. So I'm thinking that way. So the clouds which carry water are like the hairs of his head. Uh, so the termination of days or nights, sandhyam are his dress. So I can't imagine how we see this. We could say that, we change our clothes. In the morning, we change our clothes. In the evening, we change to a different clothes. Like we have evening gown, we have morning work clothes and things like that. So therefore, in some way, this is connected to the termination of days and nights, the sandhyam. So sandhyam is like like dawn, when the sun is about to rise, dawn, and dusk. Dusk is when the sun is about to set. So the termination of days and nights. This is also, so it so happens that human beings also usually they change their clothes during this period of time, right? Most of the time we want to change, we bathe or we change during this time. So anyway, so the verse continues. The supreme cause of material creation is his intelligence. How to create so many beautiful things must be the root of this intelligence. His mind is the moon, the reservoir of all changes. So what the moon, in what remains fixed and what remains changing, it's very famously poetically described in many ways that the moon likes to change its face, right? Every day the moon changes its face. So we see the shape of the moon always changing, whereas the sun always rises in the east, but not the moon. The moon changes different places, and it even changes its shape. But every day the sun looks the same. So the sun is representative of fixedness, and the moon is representative of change. And interestingly, the moon also represents the mind. And in the same way, the mind is very difficult to be fixed in anything, isn't it? It keeps changing thoughts. So people say, there is a saying, the mind is very fickle, like the moon. So therefore, anyway, so the moon is likened to his mind and the reservoir of all changes. So like this, more poetic descriptions of the Virat Rupa, connecting the Virat Rupa to the material elements and the material creation. The principle of matter, Mahat Tattva, is the Vijnana Shaktim, consciousness. Vijnana means consciousness, energy of consciousness of the omnipresent Lord. So what is Mahat Tattva? If you remember, I mentioned this word earlier, right? The when Mahavishnu wants to create material creation, he glances upon the dormant material energy. Material energy in its dormant state is called pradhan. When Mahavishnu glances upon this pradhan, the pradhan becomes agitated, it becomes energized. So when pradhan, material energy, when it gets energized, it's called mahatattva. So when material energy becomes energized, it starts to differentiate. It begins with the sound, it begins with Om. From Om, it differentiates into different elements. Like it differentiates into ether, it differentiates into air, into water, into fire, into water, into earth. And then it differentiates into mind, intelligence, ego, all the different elements. So this differentiation, when material energy begins to differentiate, it's called Mahatattva. So the root cause of Mahatattva is the glance of the Lord. And here it is described, the principle of Mahatattva is given a simile to the form of the Lord, right? it is described as the consciousness, the energy of consciousness of the Lord. So it is suitable because consciousness is agitation, right? It begins to create agitation to the material nature. So then it says Rudra Deva is his ego. Remember, I also mentioned this glance of Mahavishnu is carried by Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is the one who directly agitates the Mahatattva, the Shakti. So, and that Lord Shiva, Rudra Deva, is his ego. So you need, in material nature, we all have ego, right? So the predominant deity of false ego is called, is coming from Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva represents the mode of ignorance, and our false ego keeps us in ignorance of our actual self. Our actual self is we are not this body. I am not Indian, I'm not Shastri, I'm not Sudarshan Das, I'm not this, I'm not that, right? I am spirit soul, okay? Eternal servitor of Krishna. But what blocks us from understanding and realizing that is our false ego. And that false ego is born out of ignorance. And therefore, Lord Shiva represents that false ego because he is the master of the mode of ignorance. So, in the Brahma Samhita, there is a nice verse in the Brahma Samhita. This same thing is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita also. Jyotirlinga Mayam Shambhum Kurcha Dashat Avasrajat. From the space between Mahavishnu's two eyebrows, this is the glance of Lord Vishnu, right? Shambhu, the divine masculine manifested halo, was created. So Lord Shiva is manifested. He emerges from the glance of Lord Vishnu, right? And what does he do? Ahankaratmakam avam tasmat etat vyajayata. So this means, this verse says ahankara. Ahankara is false ego. So ahankara is represented by Lord Shiva. It's basically saying the same thing which Bhagavatam is saying. Rudra Deva is his false. Rudra Deva is the ego. Ahankara is coming from Lord Shiva. And then the verse continues: the horse, the mule, the camel, the elephant are his nails. So why is this? I don't know, right? But basically, possibly because they all are very tough animals. So they also have hooves. You know what is common among them? The camel, the teeth of the camel is sometimes used to make ivory, right? The hoof of the camel is also used to make ivory. So the hooves of these creatures, they all have hooves, and they also have tusk, right? So it's like the nails of the Lord. So the nail is also like ivory, isn't it? So they represent it. So the Lord is very merciful. He doesn't only accept, majestic or great things. He accepts every creature, everything within this material creation has a place within the Lord's body. So the understanding that we get from here is everything is sacred. Everything has a place. Everything has a purpose, and everything is divine, and everything is to be respected, right? So therefore we can understand this in this way. And then the verse continues: wild animals and all quadrupeds are situated in the belt zone of the Lord. So within the waist, the belt zone. So even there's a place for all these creatures. So we can understand that, the Lord is merciful not only to human beings, but to all creatures, everything. So Prabhupada says, none of the living beings is away from the Lord's gigantic body. Every creature is connected to the Lord. Each and every one has a particular duty in relation to the Supreme Body. So they all have their purpose, right? No animal or no creature exists in vain. Every creature is part of the ecosystem. There is a role for these creatures, right? And they all has a function. So therefore, they are all connected to the Supreme Virat Rupa. And then the Lord continues, variety of birds are indications of his masterful artistic sense. So again, more representative that the Lord is a person. So the more the impersonalist or the materialist meditates upon the Virat Rupa, the more he meditates in this way, he will be definitely coming closer and closer to the point that the Lord is a person. Artistry. How can artistry be in an impersonal person, right? In an impersonal energy? There cannot be so many beautiful artistry. Birds are particularly described, is particularly used to describe the Lord's artistic sense. Not only because they are so beautiful, they are so variegatedness. You can see the variegatedness of the colors, of the shapes, but not only that, it's also their speech. When the birds sing, the nightingale is described, someone sings very beautifully, they are described as a nightingale. uh, or a cuckoo bird also has very beautiful uh, voice. So like that, they are all connected to the artistic sense of the Lord, which again emphasizes the personal nature of the Lord. So then the verse continues. Manu, the father of mankind, is the emblem of his tender intelligence. Why Manu is the emblem of his intelligence? Because Manu is the first being, the first Manu. We are called Manusya, Vahai Manusya. So we come from Manu, the father of mankind, right? So it is described, he is very intelligent. So emblem of intelligence is given to Manu. Humanity is his residence. Now, this is so wonderful of the Lord, right? The Lord is so merciful, like he doesn't differentiate, devatas or whatever it is. Human beings are very close to his heart. He gives humanity in his residence. That's why particularly it is described that the human body is very, very special. The human body is special because, number one, we are formed after the image of the Lord. So the Lord also has a human form. The original personality of Godhead has a human form. So we are in every aspect of the sense children of God. So humanity is his residence. He resides with humans. His heart resides with humanity, right? And this is to also indicate that we should not take this human life very lightly. This human life, we can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada makes a comment. Human society is the residential quarters for the Lord. This means that human being is meant for God realization and association with God. So very special, right? So the celestial species of human beings like Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, there are many, many types of human beings. Bhagavad Gita is describing that there are 400,000 species of human beings. So don't ask me what are the 400,000. I can, some are, on earth we can see some various human being species, right? Like we have different races, for example, right? We have the Caucasians, we have the Indians, and like that. But there are also other types of human beings, human-like beings, like the Gandharvas, like the Vidyadharas, the Charanas, the angels. The angels basically means Apsaras. So they all of these higher beings, the Gandharva, Vidyadhara, Charanas, and Apsaras, they all represent his musical rhythm. So these particular species, they are very famous for their music. Like Gandharvas are supposed to be great singers, and then Apsaras are great dancers. So like that, some are great musical players. So in this way, they represent the musical rhythm of the Lord. And even the Asuras are given a position within the body of the Lord. As I said, everything comes from the Lord. Asuranika, what part of the Asuras? The prowess of the Asuras, the Virya, Asuranika Virya, the prowess, the heroism of the Asuras are his wonderful prowess. So the Lord lends his own prowess and associates them with the heroism of the demons. So no doubt the demons are very heroic. They are very restless. They like to always do things. They want to gain things. They want to gain mastery and dominion. So they are always, performing many heroic things also. Although it is adharmic, they may be doing adharmic activities, but sometimes their heroism is even greater than the devas. So that's why it is connected to the asuras. For example, Hiranyakashipu, he achieved a boon which not even the devas could achieve. He conquered the entire universe and displaced the entire deva single-handedly. So Hiranyakashipu was so powerful. Similarly, like that, Ravana, right? Kumbhakarna. So they were very, very Kamsa. They were very powerful beings. They were their powers eclipsed that of the Devatas also. So therefore, because they are coming from the Lord only. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, Vibhutimat Sattvat, Vibhutimat Sattvat Eva Burjitaha. Everything which is wonderful and glorious and splendorous comes from the Lord only, including the prowess. So therefore, he connects these prowess to the demons, the asuras. And then meditation 37, verse 37, Sukadev Goswami continues, the Virat Purusha's face is the Brahmanas, the arms are the Kshatriyas, his thighs are the Vaishyas, and the Shudras are under the protection of his feet. See how beautifully he puts the verse here, right? They're under the protection of his feet, the lotus feet. So the meaning of this verse here is to show that everyone is important. They have different duties, but it does not mean that one is less important than the other. Can we say, are we willing to cut off our legs? No. If there is a wound on the leg, how much effort we will take to take care of the wound on the leg, correct? So every part of this society is to be nurtured, is to be protected, and they all have their own specialized duties, correct? So that is the idea behind this. And all of them have a place within the supreme body of the Lord. So the Brahmanas represent the head because the head gives direction. Brahmanas give direction. The head has the eyes. So direction and vision so that the body is not lost. So therefore Brahmanas are the head. Kshatriyas are the arms. They protect the body, right? They perform administrative work. And the Vaishyas are the stomach and the hips and the thighs. So it is necessary. Why this region? Because this region is necessary to nurture the body. And then the Shudras, which perform the manual labor to carry and to support the entire body, right? So therefore we can see, these are the nature of the Varna, the society, and it is also having a place within the body of the Lord. Then we have the next continues. All the worshipable demigods are also overtaken by him. So all the devatas, so asuras were mentioned just now, and now the devatas are again mentioned also, right? Though the devatas are powerful, but they are all overtaken by him. So this verse is also mentioned in the Ishopanishad, where it is described, all others running cannot catch the Lord. The Lord overcomes everyone. So this is to indicate again the supreme prowess of the Lord, right? To indicate again that all the devatas receive their benediction and their power from the Lord only. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. And it is the duty of everyone to perform sacrifices with feasible goods to appease the Lord. So this is also the Lord. The yagya is also described as because the Lord of yagya is called Yageshwar, and that's one of the names of Vishnu, right? Vishnu is called Yageshwara, Lord of sacrifice. So we should work together to perform these sacrifices. So Prabhupada gives a comment here. Human society, therefore, must learn to offer sacrifices not only with clarified butter, but also with other manufactured goods in the propagation of the Lord's glory, and that will bring about perfection in human society. So, human society is meant to work together. The Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Shudras, they are meant to work together to perform sacrifice. The Brahmanas sit in the sacrifice. The Kshatriyas have the wealth and the facilities to allow sacrifices to happen, and they provide protection for everything to happen correctly. The Vaishyas produce the ghee and they produce the grains in order for the sacrifice to happen. The Shudras perform all the labor to ensure everything is perfectly done and every kind of support is given for the sacrifice to happen. So, in this way, the sacrifice is performed, and when it is performed, the benefit of that sacrifice is cascaded down to all the society. Everyone within the society, from Brahmana to Shudra, benefits from the sacrifice. So that's how society is meant to work together in cooperation, right? And this sacrifice is, and why is the benefit there? The benefit is there because the sacrifice is meant to satisfy the Lord, to perform sacrifice to satisfy Yagneshwar, right? To sacrifice Vishnu. So when Vishnu is satisfied, automatically all the devatas are automatically satisfied, and automatically all necessities of human life is provided automatically. So that is the idea behind it. That's the perfection of human existence. So you can see here, monotheism is being propagated, right? Even though Devata worship is there in the Vedas, but it's all meant to work together to propitiate the Supreme Lord only. Ultimately, it's to worship the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada says the intelligent class of men or Brahmanas may give direction for such sacrifices in consultation with previous acharyas. The administrators may give all facilities to perform such sacrifice. The Vaishyas produce goods to offer them for sacrifice, and the Shudra may offer their manual labor for the successful termination of such sacrifice. And in this way, together in cooperation, they satisfy Vishnu. So cooperation, so Prabhupada says, thus by cooperation of all classes of human beings, the sacrifice recommended in this age. So Prabhupada earlier said, right, we don't only sacrifice with ghee into the fire, right? In this age, what is the sacrifice? It is Sankirtanam, sacrifice of the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord, right? So this sacrifice of the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord is what is recommended for this age. And we should all work together. So what does that mean? Right? So some of us, we are all in this society. So Prabhupada created this ISKCON society as a means for cooperation to satisfy Vishnu, to satisfy Krishna. How? By this Sankirtana movement. And this movement is not simply just chanting Hare Krishna only, it is everything with regards to this movement to support that. Just like it's not only the fire, it is everything to help with the fire. Like how the Vaishyas produce grains and produce ghee, like how the Brahmanas recite, and how the Shudras carry out the menial tasks. In our ISKCON Sankirtana movement, what do we all do? Every one of us have our roles, right? Somebody is preaching, somebody is performing deity worship, somebody is teaching others, somebody is administrating, somebody is ensuring the society is protected, the devotees are protected, right? Somebody is ensuring that the uh, you know uh, money is coming in, people are working, so they are able to support the grahastas are able to support the sannyasis, able to support the preaching movement, right? And we have people who are assisting in different ways, from all kinds of things, from cleaning, from cutting vegetables, to cooking, to performing, to polishing, everything. So we are all working together, rolling of the Deepa sticks for Damodar, for Kartik Masa. So, all of these, we are all working together in one big family within this ISKCON society, simply for the satisfaction of Vishnu. So it's a cooperation, and every one of us benefits from this equally. So this is transcendental, right? So we can all work together in this way. So now we are coming towards the close. So in this way, Sukadev Goswami says, I have thus explained to you the gross material gigantic conception of the Ishvara Vigraha. So it is called material, gross. You can see the words used here, stavishte, which translates to gross material, right? Gigantic conception is a conception. So as I told you, this the Virat Rupa of the form of the Lord is not eternally existing in the spiritual world. It is a conception simply created so that to help in the meditation of the materialist, so that they can come towards gradually transcend from pure materialism to appreciation of the majesty of the universe towards uh, towards the personal nature of the Lord, so that they can progress in their spiritual consciousness. So one who seriously desires liberation, swabuddhya, seriously desires liberation, concentrates his mana on this form of the Lord. So he's talking about the materialist. So if the materialist really wants liberation, right, and because he cannot come to the platform of personal worship of the Lord, so if he is serious, then at least he should take up this meditation of the Virat Rupa, of the Virat Rupa. That means at least he appreciates, he respects material nature. He has a healthy respect and appreciation of material nature. So in this way, he comes step by step. Because there is nothing more than this in this material world for the materialist. This is the limit of material understanding of the universe. There's nothing further than the Virat Rupa within the universe. So if any scientist want to study the universe, they will ultimately come to the understanding of the Virat Rupa. By studying their physics, their chemistry, their astronomy, their whatnot, everything, by biology, whatever it is, they will ultimately come to the understanding of the Virat Rupa of the Lord. It takes time, but it is there. It begins by a healthy respect of the majesty of the material creation. And then Sukadev Goswami continues. By all sorts of intelligence, one should concentrate his mind upon him. So this is the point. This is the point. This is the point which is given here. By all sorts of intelligence, no matter who we are, whether we are atheist, whether we are pantheist, whether we are panentheist, whether we are materialist, we are scientist, or whatever it is, we should, with all sorts of our intelligence, we should come to concentrate our mind upon the Lord. Whether it is the very basic Virat Rupa form for the materialist, or the deity form of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his three-bended form as Shama Sundar, right? It doesn't matter, but it is to remember to concentrate upon the Lord. So this is the culmination of all our spiritual practices. That's why remembrance of the Lord is very, very important, right? So Prabhupada says, because they, the materialist, are unable to accept the personal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is kind enough to demonstrate the Virat feature of his transcendental form. One can think of him in any manifestation of the material world, the forest, the hill, the ocean, the man, the animal, the demigod, the bird, the beast, the universe, anything else, and they will get benefited. This process of concentrating on the different bodily parts of the Lord will gradually diminish the demoniac challenge of godlessness. So this is how it will help the materialist. it will gradually diminish the demoniac challenge of godlessness. People are very challenging, right? So by following this process, they will slowly come to the aspect of respecting material nature, respecting the universe. And this will pave the way towards personal realization. Because without respecting material nature, they cannot go to the next level because they are offending the Lord. If one is simply treating material nature as something to be exploited, not to be respected, right? Then they cannot come to the level of a higher spiritual realization. So this entire process of Virat Rupa meditation is a process by itself. Just like there are different types of yoga, this is one type of meditation meant for the gross materialist, which will bring them to this level. So this is the first step of God realization, which is described in this chapter. Remember, this chapter is described as the first step of God realization. So this is what it is. So Prabhupada says, the sense of God-mindedness will diminish one's pride in challenging the existence of God. So it will come to this stage little by little. The neophyte student will gradually realize that the Supreme Lord is everywhere, and thus he will learn the art of not committing any offense to the body of the Lord, to the universe. Right? So that is the idea behind this. So with respect, with 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 respect, one learns to cherish. So then they will not offend the Lord. So in this way, they will make gradual spiritual progress, spiritual consciousness. Right? So Prabhupada also says, if anyone wants to realize the supreme truth by conceiving the universal form of the Lord, he must cultivate the service attitude. So now, how to progress from universal form to the next level, right? Doesn't matter any level also, whether materialist to universal form to devotee, it doesn't matter. Every level must have the compulsory feature of respect and service attitude. Without this respect and service attitude, now service attitude cannot come without respect. So without this, one cannot make spiritual progress. So that's why the Lord tricks the materialist in different ways to help them to at least come and respect them. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right? Man mana bhava mat bhakto mat yaji mam namaskuru. Right? Think of me. If you cannot think of me, then man mana mat bhava mat yaji. At least worship me. If you cannot worship me, at least pay your obeisances to me somehow. So that is for the devotee, right? So then if you cannot even worship, if you cannot even pay obeisances to me, then at least respect me. So if you cannot even respect me, then at least respect my creation, my material nature. So in this way, that's where it begins. So unless the service attitude is revived, the conception of Virat realization will have very little effect on the seer. So if he gets stuck here, if he gets stuck with Virat Rupa and he doesn't come to the service attitude, then he gets stuck, right? So he needs to develop the service attitude somehow. So, and then Sukadev Goswami continues. Sukadev Goswami says, by all sorts of intelligence, one should concentrate his mind upon him who alone distributes himself in so many manifestations. Sarve Atma. So he alone is the one to be concentrated upon, not anybody else, right? So this is the next level of realization. So Sukadev Goswami is giving a hint. So from Vishwarupa, the next level of realization from understanding that everything is the Lord, everything is Brahman, and coming to the level of Vishwarupa, the next level is Paramatma, where he sees that the Lord alone is expanded himself, distributed himself in so many manifestations. Sarva Atma, everywhere he's there. So Prabhupada says in the Vedic hymns, it is clearly said that first of all, Narayana cast a glance over matter, and thus there was creation. Before creation, there was neither Brahma nor Shiva, what to speak of others. So this is there in the Vedic hymns. Narayana Paratattva. This is mentioned in the Vedas. Alone, Eka Narayana. He alone was there and he alone distributes everywhere. So this is there and is accepted by even Sankaracharya. And then after accepting this, so who alone distributes himself in so many manifestations, just as ordinary persons create thousands of manifestations in dreams. So just like when we dream, we imagine ourselves in one form, and then we imagine ourselves in another dream. So we actually create manifestations of ourselves in our dreams. So in the same way, the Lord is creating manifestations of himself within the material world in the form of Paramatma. It's like a dream also, because the Lord is having yoga nidra. He sleeps, right? So in the causal ocean, he is sleeping, and from his body, so many universes are coming out. And within these universes, he enters and he lies down as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And within the dream, he also spreads to all the different atoms as Paramatma. So just like how we are dreaming, the Lord is dreaming himself as Paramatma in every atom. So this is the understanding. It's very mystical and it's very deep. We will hear more details about this in later cantos, but this is the first step, right? So one must concentrate the mind on him alone, Satyam Ananda Nidim, the only blissful, all blissful, absolute truth, and not anything else. Eka, only on him. So then one can cross over the material nature, right? Mukunda, the giver of Mukunda is none other than Lord Narayana himself or Krishna alone and not anybody else. Otherwise, one will be misled and will cause his own degradation. Atma pataha. Atma pataha means he will cause his degradation. He will go down in his spiritual consciousness if he does not respect or in any way concentrate upon the Supreme Lord. So this is the idea behind this. So in this way, Krishna is so kind, he's so merciful. The same concepts are also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna will ask, how am I to remember you? How am I to think of you? After seeing the Virat Rupa, so Krishna will say, before that also he will say, I am the taste in water, I am the sun, I am the moon, I am the strength of the strong, I am honor, I am. So just like how we have been describing just now in the Virat Rupa form, Krishna was also explaining this to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, we can be conscious of the Lord in everything. So what does that translate to a devotee? It translates to a devotee that a devotee, when he is Krishna conscious, he will appreciate the material energy as well. He will appreciate the world. So what does that mean? It means that he will not abuse anything. He will not abuse material nature. He will not waste water. He will not waste electricity. He will not waste anything. He will not waste food. He will not waste resources. He will be very, very thrifty of his resources because he sees the resources as Krishna's energy. In fact, he sees them as Krishna also. So he will be very careful to use every resource exclusively for the service of the Lord in different ways, in supporting the Sankirtana Yagya, right? So that is the idea behind all this. So in this way, we can remember the Lord Krishna in all the different aspects. Okay, so we end here. It's getting late. I'm very sorry it's getting so much of your time, but I wanted to finish this topic, this chapter, right? We will summarize this in a more lucid manner in our next session. Before, we always have our recap before we go to our next chapter. So we will summarize this again for our understanding. So now we have gone through these verses. So we have completed chapter 1. So let us digest by chanting Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much for your patience and for your time. I'm really, I feel I'm sorry for taking up so much of the time, but I hope it's helpful. Uh, Brihad, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there's any questions, we can have a quick answer. If there's none, then we can look in the chat. Any clarifications, if I can help?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna
Pronounce
Prabhu.
Dandavad.
Yes.
Okay, let
Mataji.
Prabhu carry on, please.
Naman, Mataji, you said first.
Okay.
Let's.
Okay. Prabhu Hare Krishna, thank you very much for the beautiful, enlightening class. Yeah, it's very
Thank you.
nice. Today being Ekadasi, please can I ask something about Ekadasi? And anywhere in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada has quoted, because some friends asking me about Ekadasi, why cannot eat this, cannot eat that? And they say, where in Bhagavad Gita Prabhupada has mentioned? Okay, like some Ekadasi, we eat fruits, nuts, some certain vegetables only. Okay. Among the vegetables also like lady's finger, brinjals, those with many seeds, we are not supposed to eat. Is there such a thing as among the vegetables also certain vegetables only can be eaten, or beans, அதெல்லாம் கூட we shouldn't be taking?
Well,
Any specific reason, Prabhu?
Well, according to, these are all details actually. So Prabhupada says the important point is the principle and not so much the detail. So the principle is we should fast, we should practice some austerity, right? And we should basically definitely avoid grains. That one is definitely mentioned in scripture. In the Vishnu Purana, it's mentioned grains and legumes. So like, dal, grains, that 100%. And but in certain other scriptures, like even beans is mentioned, but seeds, that one I'm not exactly clear, because sometimes we do take seeds, sometimes we don't. Like in KL temple, Ekadasi, they do serve seeds. Like I remember Jayapataka Maharaja's Vyasa Puja, sesame is served sometimes, and so there is these things being done. But if somebody wants to be more strict, then they can follow. So there are different levels. Like the strictest is they will say no food at all, no food, no water. That is the level 1 strictness. But the lower level is, okay, I will take water alone. And then another level of strictness is a bit lower. I will take fruits and roots only. I will eat only fruits and I will eat only roots. In that also some people say no fruits with seeds and all that. Okay, that's a different level. So it depends on you, Mataji. So I would suggest that this is something personal, which you should speak to your guru or speak to your, like some people will have health issues. So they will have different adjustments for that. But Prabhupada, I think if you follow major temples like Mayapur or Vrindavan and all that, generally seed is sometimes it's given, it's taken. So it's just that some people will say seeds don't take, but I see most of the temples, they do serve seeds. That's my understanding, Mataji. I hope that answers.
Thank you, Prabhu. But in Bhagavad Gita about Ekadasi, and which chapter can I find that,
Not
Prabhu,
in
about
Bhagavad Gita. It's not in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, it's 45 minutes before battle, Krishna wouldn't be talking about what to eat and what not to eat. He's giving the summary of the Vedas. To get details, we have to refer to other scriptures, particularly Hari Bhakti Vilas. So Sanatan Goswami has given all these details in Hari Bhakti Vilas. But if you read Hari Bhakti Vilas, it's very strict. So Ekadasi, no food. But the gurus are more merciful. So they have given us opportunities. In fact, there are scriptures in some Puranas which says that not eating grains and not eating beans is as good as fasting without food. in some scriptures. So it depends on the mercy of the Guru. So Prabhupada has been more merciful. So he's given us that we can feast even during Ekadasi, but avoid grains and avoid beans. So if you're asking about scripture, Vishnu Purana mentions this, and definitely Hari Bhakti Vilas gives a lot of details about this fasting. But we want to follow Prabhupada's instruction. So Prabhupada has given clear instructions on what we should do on Ekadasi. So we can read his letters, we can read his, many of the places where he has mentioned about Ekadasi. Okay, Mataji?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Sorry to have taken so much of
No
your
problem, no
time.
problem.
Thank you so much, Hare
Any
Krishna.
other
Thank you,
questions?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Rajeshwari Mataji. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna,
Prabhu, I have a
Prabhu.
question in the chat, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Mangala Rukmini here.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, I don't know whether I'm asking the correct answer or not, question or not, but thanks for the class. This is wonderful. And Prabhu, what I was, when you're talking about the Bhuloka and the upper Loka and the down, this one, so I was thinking, I heard that if we are a devotee in a family, we are saving the 7 generation up and 7 generation down. How to understand this with that kind of explanation that you gave, Prabhu? Because down all Patala Loka, all the hells or something like that, and the up is heaven. How to understand this, Prabhu?
Yes. Yeah, so as I said, this description of the Vishwarupa and the different lokas, the meditation for that is given for the materialist. If we are taking the path of devotion as given as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we don't have to worry about that, right? So when we take up the path of, when we are chanting 16 rounds, we are following 4 regulative principles, then automatically all of this is already covered. We don't have to worry anything about this at all. All we have to do is simply chant, hear, worship Srimad Bhagavatam by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, following 4 regulative principles, and serving here and there where we can, right? So that is sufficient. Our life is guaranteed to go to the spiritual world, and our entire generation's life is also guaranteed. We don't have to do Pitra Puja, we don't have to do Pitra worship of this, or doing this yagya for the Pitras, not necessary at all. And this is very clearly mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, Prabhupada also repeats this, even in Bhagavad Gita he says this, right? So yeah.
This is only for the pure devotee, Prabhu, which we are also...
No, it is meant for the devotee. Pure devotees, they will liberate 100 generations. For, there are 3 levels of devotees. There is the Uttama Adhikari, there is the Madhyam Adhikari, and there is the Kanishta Adhikari. Even the Kanishta Adhikari, he will attain liberation. Liberation means, there's a difference. What we are doing, when we are devotee, we are trying to attain Krishna Prema. We are not just interested in liberation. Liberation is very easy. Even for a Kanishta devotee, liberation can be attained easily. So liberation means we go to Vaikuntha Loka, right? But that does not mean we get Prema Bhakti. So if we want Krishna Prema Bhakti, which is the highest bliss, then we need to follow this process very carefully with Srimad Bhagavatam. That's where we have to elevate ourselves from Kanishta to Madhyam Adhikari. When in Madhyam Adhikari, then our faith is a bit more stable, right? Then we can slowly, we are in the process of developing this process of Prema Bhakti. So that's the understanding, Mataji. I hope that clears.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yes, I think there's a question in the chat. Concept of Shirodakashaya Vishnu. Okay, I will explain this in the chat later, right? I will probably put this down because I also have mentioned this before in other sessions. But in short, in very short form, Shirodakashaya, if you can refer to our chapter 3, Canto 1 recording, where I talk about the Purusha avatars, how Krishna expands as Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu Garbhodakashayi, from Garbhodakashayi Shirodakashayi. So I will find that video and I will post it in the group later. Okay. So that will explain Shirodakashaya Vishnu very much. Any other questions besides that?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Ramanayadu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Prabhu, I understand what today's class, Prabhu.
Hmm.
All the lokas from Patala to top lokas, is it outskirt of Vishnu, and all the creations are internal organ of Vishnu? You understand what I asked?
Yeah, it's not it's just a poetic description. It's not actual. It's illusory. The acharyas describe that this is actually illusory. This description of the Virat Rupa of how this planet represents this body part of Lord Vishnu and all that, it is just a way for them to meditate upon it in that way, to somehow connect material things to the personal form of the Lord. Otherwise, there is separation. How are the materialists going to in any way get the benefit of the Agyata Sukriti? They cannot get Agyata Sukriti if they cannot connect in this way. So therefore, just to help them, this connection is made. But it's basically illusion. It's not real. So but in a subtle way, in a poetic way, you can say that these are all descriptions of the Lord's Virat Rupa body. Does that make sense, Prabhu?
Where does all the lokas are representing from toe to head?
Yes.
Where do Bhulokas stand?
Buloka is at the waist.
Oh, waist. Okay, Prabhu. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We are in the center. All right. So it's getting very late.
The body of Vishnu. In the body of Vishnu.
Yes, in the body of Vishnu.
It's in the center among all the 14 planets.
Correct.
But body of Vishnu is in the waist.
Yes, the waist. After Mahir Loka, because the Mahir Loka was the last part of the lower planetary systems, which was the hip, right? So, and then the top part of the first description was the luminary planets, which was the chest. So between the chest and between the hips, so that would be the waist, the stomach area, the abdomen area. So that is where Bhuloka is situated.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much for your time. I will address any other questions. Also, this Shirodakai question, I will address it, Prabhu. So it's just because it's getting very late. So I just wanted to stop it here. So thank you so much. Panchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindhibhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.